We do need some information from the borough on what their plan is, what they have in mind for that night.
People use the hill, people use the parking lot, they have this side already. I mean, they just come up and explore the stuff. They're afraid of being too close, some have little kids, they stay further over here. So they've already been doing that, 20 years.
Yeah, they've used all this,
So they do with their chairs right on their front lawns, right?
Yeah, and they put it on our lawn, like in front of, the little building.
So,
Okay,
Years
so,
I've sat down
you
in
send
the
me your
old parking
questions.
lot down here, Corpus Christi lot.
I'll
or-
send them
Yes, well, it's Christine.
tomorrow, and then we'll see what we do with this item moving forward.
is the board all in agreement with pulling
Yeah.
this item?
Yeah, I think we all had the same
Okay.
idea as John, how we're gonna do that.
Okay, great, so the motion was made by
Me,
Mr. Nielsen, you'll amend your motion
Let's
to.
just say that the 1479 has been administratively removed from consideration.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that was
Just
That
amended,
makes it, I
second,
remove my
yeah.
revocation, correct?
Okay, if there are no more questions on any of these use of facilities, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, at this time, we will go into our committee reports. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The next is the financial report. Ms. Lowe.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby certifies that it is in receipt of the financial report which indicates that no major account has been overexpended and that sufficient funds are available to meet the district's financial obligations for the remainder of the fiscal year. The Finance Committee recommends that the reports of the Board Secretary and the Treasurer of School Monies for February 2023 be approved, and I so move.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Lowe,
Second,
second by Mr. Nielsen. Any questions on that item? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. At this time, the meeting is going to be turned over for a report from our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Zocher.
All right, thank you, President Urbanek. 3.2 on this agenda is a confirmed HIP for your approval. And 3.1 is the general monthly report. So the first item on my report is the budget presentation. And now that we have presented the budget, we will be posting it on our district website. We will put a link to the budget in our E-Ram as well. And we are hoping that the community really takes a look at this budget so that they see really what's happening for our public school systems in the upcoming school year. I list here as well some of the current facility projects that we have in the district. The elementary school outdoor learning space has been completed and is in use. We are just waiting for our canopies, but that's okay. The outdoor learning space at the middle school is now under construction. For the upcoming curriculum fair, we do use that entrance down the ramp for the art show. What we're going to do is we will block off that area and we will put up a poster that shows what the future site will look like. And then that will give people an
Very good.
opportunity as they're walking by to see what is under construction. We're looking at some courtyard improvements at the middle school and high school, really trying to make the most of those spaces that right now are just unused and really have a lot of potential. So we're really focused on that. The classroom wall repairs, if you remember from the issue that we had at the high school, is almost completed. I think as of this morning, we were above 80% completed, and we should be done with that project by next week. The high school classroom addition is well on its way. We have our permits. We have a construction project meeting every 2 weeks. We had one just today that went really well. We are on time, on target as of now, so all good in that regard. We talked about the replacement of student chairs and desks. We're working towards that project now because it is such a large order. So we met on just that item today with the principals and one of our vendors to look at options. But we'll be really looking, even though it's an implementation for next year, at planning and doing a lot of that work this year. We had some exterior door security upgrades that have been taking place for the last 2 months, and we are now going into an interior door security upgrade. We talked about the weight room improvements, that's coming up, the new fencing, and the wall of fame as well. We have a lot of end-of-year events, so please make sure you're visiting our district website. We post everything on our calendar, we post a lot of announcements and reminders on our social media pages, and we welcome our families to join us for these. We have our curriculum fair coming up. At our curriculum fair, we will have our displays as always, so our student displays, our student performances, our art show, our Star Lab, and we are working towards a shuttle as well to help families get to the curriculum fair. So we have one location that we're confirming that will allow parents to park at that location and then shuttle over, so if they don't want to deal with parking on our campus during that busy event. And then we have some locations, almost bus stops if you will, throughout the township where people without transportation will be able to take the shuttle and be brought over here to the curriculum fair as well.
Very good.
All right, so that's new for this year as well. We are really moving forward with an instructional focus. As you know, our student performance reports just were released and have been published on our district website. We have concerns on what that data shows. And of course, there's concern for student performance data throughout the state, but we can't look at that as an excuse. We really need to focus on what our student performance numbers look like and what we are going to do to improve our academic performance. So Dr. Trevisano and myself have scheduled meetings with each of our administrators and department leads. We are expecting them to bring with us an analysis of their student performance data as well as goals that they are setting for the upcoming year and an action plan. And we will be conducting those meetings in the next 2 weeks or so. And then I also included in my superintendent's report the case study that was conducted in the district on restorative community service. This is an initiative that we're really committed to. Just as a reminder to the board and the public, this is an initiative where our students who have committed less serious disciplinary infractions, instead of receiving suspension, either in school or out of school suspension, they receive a restorative community service requirement that they have to perform. And what's great about this program is not that kids just have to perform a community service, but that they work with a clinician, they receive pre-service counseling. That means they meet with a clinician first, they discuss why they committed the infraction in the first place, what it is that they need to do to improve their behavior, how they feel about providing service to the community and contributing to their community as opposed to disrupting it. So they have that pre-service meeting with a clinician, then they're set up for success in the community service activity and they go to the community. Our former board member, Dave Rashatar, has been very helpful in helping us connect to the community and find service opportunities for our students. Very helpful. And then after the student conducts the community service activity, they have a post-service meeting again with the clinician to talk about how it felt to provide community service, how their actions will be moving forward, what they have learned from the experience, and so on. So it's a very comprehensive program. We have met with a lot of success. We have really students who have gone through the community service initiative and then asked us for more community service hours, which is just a wonderful, joyous thing to have kids ask for. We have kids who are not repeat offenders, and we've been able to really reduce the number of suspensions at the middle and high school significantly. So very proud of this initiative, very proud of this case study, because it really is up and coming, really in the state and even nationwide. I had an opportunity to present this initiative, and it's been very well received. And with that, I conclude my report.
Thank you very much. Do any board members have any questions on the
Yes.
superintendent?
Some months ago, we passed a resolution on elementary school playground.
Yes.
And what's the status of that?
So we ordered the playground materials. We have been waiting for some of the materials to still arrive. We are in the process now because the company who's doing our outdoor middle school classroom is the same company who's going to be doing the playground installation. And we have testing coming up. They're going to pause their work on the middle school outdoor classroom space because there are classrooms that face that area. And while they pause that for testing, they're going to go and start the demolish on the elementary playground. And then once all of the equipment is in, it will be the install. All right, so we'll be up the next few weeks or so to see some changes there.
That whole area is gonna look different.
Yes,
It's gonna look very nice.
Some Johnson will be clear.
Any other questions for the superintendent on her report?
I got something. In regards to your restorative community service initiative, this is the first time you've gone out and brought something into the district and, you know, we've seen the success of it. And I'm proud of that. You're doing a wonderful job with these initiatives that you're going out to keep kids in school, to keep them learning. Again, this is not the first one, and I guarantee it won't be the last one. And I thank you for that. So,
I appreciate your words, thank you. This one is near and dear to my heart, restorative community service. It's something that we built from the ground up, and we're very proud of it. We really
And
are.
you should be.
I think the results are very
Yeah.
impressive in the report. I recall when this was on the budget almost a year ago, I'm sorry, on the agenda almost a year ago, I did ask, how are we going to know if this is working? You outlined it, and when I read this report, the results were evident. So, very good. Any other questions for the superintendent? Okay, can we have a motion on the superintendent's report?
Nielsen, move the superintendent's report is read.
Motion by Mr. Nielsen, is there a second? From Mr. Basak. No more questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you. Okay, at this time, we are going to open up the meeting for the first reception of visitors. There will be another one at the end of the meeting. This reception of visitors for addressing the board is for agenda items only. Again, if you can come to the podium, please state your name and address, and please keep your comments to a 10-minute time limit. On first call, second call, third call. We will close this portion and we will continue on with the agenda. Under President of the Board, we do have the consent resolution, which Mr. Rosa will be reading.
The South River Board of Education, by means of a consent resolution, adopt various resolutions of a routine and non-controversial nature at one time. And whereas the below listed resolutions are hereby adopted by the said Board of Education in whole, as if the same were individually acted upon. And those are Superintendent of Schools 3.2, with the President of the Board 5.2 through 5.4, and the Finance 8.1 through 8.30, under Instruction 9.1 and 9.2, under Policy and Legislation 11.1, under Human Resources 12.1 through 12.33, for Safety and Risk Management 13.1 through 13.4.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion on the consent resolution?
Nielsen, move the consent resolution.
Motion by Mr. Nielsen.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sadowski. Are there any questions, any abstentions, or anyone need any of these to be read separately? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Bazak?
Yes.
Mr. Butson?
Yes.
Mrs. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Lau?
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Ms. Young Yao?
Yes.
Mr. Bannick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Okay, moving on with our committee reports. Athletics and extracurricular, Mr. Budson.
There's nothing on the agenda for this month.
Okay, buildings and grounds, Mr. Nielsen.
Nothing new to report, but I just want to keep the public if you have any questions in regards to anything going on around the district, please stay the hell off of social media and call the district or come to a meeting. Call the district and get the truth, don't get, a lot of false information out there. That's all I have.
Thank you. Finance, Ms. Love?
I'd like to pick up with 8.23 from our last meeting, from our pre-meeting. So 8.23 had two items altered on the requisition list, and then 8.24, addition approved award summer 2023 camp contract right at school. 8.25, addition approved contract B&B Party Rentals of New Jersey for chair and stage rental services provider for the 8th grade moving up and the high school graduation ceremonies for the 22-23 school year. 8.26, addition approved contract Lexicate Learning LLC, translation services provider for the 23-24 school year. 8.27, addition approved appoint 23-24 flexible spending plan monitor national benefit services. 8.28, addition approved contract Bolero North Brunswick field trip service provider for the 22-23 school year. 8.29, addition approved submit accept water infrastructure grant securing our children's future bond act for the 22-23 school year. And 8.30, addition approved contract Active Internet Technologies LLC for the use of Final Site as the website services provider for the 22-23 through the 27-28 school years. And if you look at the backup, it mentions that it includes, I want my wording to be accurate on this, that the one that was chosen is including Audio Eye to facilitate our ADA requirements. And that is all I have for this evening.
Okay, thank you. Continuing on with instruction, Mrs. Bush?
Sure, there were no additions since Monday evening, but there are a couple of things that I'd like to highlight because the instruction committee did meet. One of the things Dr. Zorcher wrote in her curriculum, in her monthly report, was the restructuring of the ASI program, and that was based on some of the information that you were going to be getting from the admins. So there will be a change in that structure that we're going to be seeing in the near future. We talked about the AP courses, in particular the science class, and we are looking to have AP Bio and AP Chem go from 10 credits down to 5 credits. We asked some really good questions, in particular about making sure they can get through all of the curriculum in half the time, and that doesn't seem to be an issue at all. Labs are still available to happen, and they're going to alternate, or they're going to attempt to alternate them so students can actually take both, which is a plus. We also talked about summer work, and hop in if I forget anything along the way, especially in the world of math, Liz. I might have forgotten some stuff, but we're going back to our strong partnership that we've had with the library, and we're rebuilding that again. So over the summer, we have different tiered programs. So pre-K to 5 is going to do a passport style summer learning activity where they could go in and do some activities, stamp their passports, and then that's their initiative rather than just reading a book, but exploring the library and the resources out there. The middle school is going to do something along the lines of probably through Google Classroom, where they're earning badges for completing specific activities. At the high school, we have a pre-AP institute that they're looking to implement as well. And for math, I know that we said there were not going to be packets. We were looking at, we purposely said that moving towards activities on iReady. Okay, didn't want to forget anything. The brunt of our discussion had a lot to do with reviewing homework that is given over extended weekends or over long breaks. So Mrs. Zercher is going to, and Dr. Trevisano, going to sit down and talk with the teachers, see if they even realize that maybe over extended breaks and holidays, students are getting a lot of extra work to do, so they're not getting the opportunity to take advantage of that long time off. A lot of projects are due that Monday they return, or possibly that Tuesday. So that information will come back to us later. If you read Dr. Trevisano's report, they are really big into or right into the scheduling process, and students this year for the first time did elective requests right in Genesis. And a couple things that we have to kind of note, just to kind of go along with what you have already said about the STEM program and some improvements we're making. There's been an uptick in STEM-related courses, a podcast course. We are offering American Sign Language 3, and a new AP Calc course as well. And then don't forget we have state testing that's going on and the DLM and all the other great stuff that's happening. But that was a really busy report for instruction. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you please continue, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped. So under negotiations, we don't have anything active right now. Mr. Parton, what do we have coming up?
We'll be meeting, the negotiations committee will be meeting in May to review non-bargaining unit contracts for 23-24
Right.
and to address some of the initiatives that Dr. Zurcher announced in terms of personnel in the upcoming budget, and sidebar possibility with the SREA.
Okay, thank you. And now, Mrs. Bush, back to you for policy and legislation.
Yes, so there's no changes since Monday evening.
Okay, thank you. Under human resources, Mr. Basak.
Thank you, Madam President. I have one deletion from Monday's agenda, item 12.18, and I have 10 additions. Item 12.27, item 12, through item 12.33, I will read now. Item 12.34 through 12.36, I will read. Item 12.7, item 12.27, addition approved resignation, Allison Alfano, elementary school special education teacher, 22-23 school year. Item 12.28, addition approved resignation for retirement, Alda Meltez, primary school elementary school teacher, 22-23 school year. Item 12.29, addition approved interim and family leave, Maurice Tempora, primary school teacher, 22-23 school year. Item 12.30, addition approved extension of disability, sick, maternity, family leave, Catherine Matori, elementary school teacher, 22-23 school year. Item 12.31, addition approved summer remediation and enrichment program for staff, summer of 2023. Item 12.32, addition approved contract renewal, non-tenured staff, 23-24 school year. And item 12.33, addition approved appoint Daniel Stempora, Acting Director of Technology, 2022-2023 school year. And item 12.34, addition approved reduction in force, abolish position of Assistant Principal for Special Projects effective July 1st, 2023. Whereas staffing needs and budgetary constraints have made necessary, in the judgment of the Board, a reduction in staffing and a corresponding reduction in force, and such a RIF is authorized, and authority for same is vested with the Board pursuant to NJSA 18A 28-9 and NJAC 6A 32-5.1. Now therefore be it resolved that the existing full-time position of Assistant Principal for Special Projects be and herewith is abolished effective July 1st, 2023, and be it further resolved that the employment of Paul Coleman in the position of Assistant Principal of Special Projects is accordingly abolished, and by operation of his tenure and seniority rights in the position of Assistant Principal, Mr. Coleman is transferred to the position of Assistant Principal, and be it further resolved that no tenured employees in this position of Assistant Principal will be affected by this RIF, and as such, no statutory notifications or placements on preferred eligibility list is required.
Can you make that motion?
And I so move.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Basak.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nielsen. Any questions on this? Mr. Rosa, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Basak?
Yes.
Mr. Butson?
Yes.
Mrs. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Lau?
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen?
Yes.
Ms. Sadowski?
Yes.
Ms. Young Yao?
Yes.
Ms. Urbanic?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 12.35, addition approved, non-renewal, Shauna Iazetta, Assistant Principal of South River Middle School, effective July 1st, 2023. Whereas staffing needs and budgetary constraints have made necessary, in the judgment of the Board, a reduction in staffing and corresponding reduction in force, and such a RIF is authorized, and authority for same is vested with the board pursuant to NJSA 18A 28-9 and NJAC 6A 32-5.1. And whereas the resulting abolishment of the position of assistant principal for special projects effective July 1st, 2023 requires the non-renewal of the least senior or non-tenured teaching staff member currently in the position of assistant principal. Now therefore be it resolved that Ms. Shona Iazeta's employment in the capacity of assistant principal be and hereby is non-renewed at the conclusion of the 2022-2023 school year for solely economic reasons. And the superintendent is directed to reassign Ms. Iazeta to a position consistent with her tenure and seniority rights as a teaching staff member in the South River School District pursuant to NJAC 6A 32-5.1 and to placement of the requisite salary guide together with guide credit for all time she served as assistant principal pursuant to NJSA 18A 28-6 effective with the 2023-2024 school year, and I so move.
Motion by Mr. Basak,
Second.
second by Mr. Nielsen. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Basak?
Yes.
Mr. Butson?
Yes.
Mrs. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Lau?
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen?
Yes.
Ms. Sadowski?
Yes.
Ms. Young Yao?
Yes.
Ms. Urbaniak?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 12.36, addition approved reassignment, Shona Iazeta, high school English teacher, 2023-2024 school year. Whereas staffing needs and budgetary constraints have made necessary, in the judgment of the board, a reduction in staffing and a corresponding reduction in force, and such a RIF is authorized and authority
Mr.
for
President.
same.
This is the same backup as the prior action item, so you can just move the motion itself without having to go through that.
Okay, thank you.
That's enough legal history.
Motion to move item 12.36.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Basak,
Second.
second by Mr. Nielsen. Any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Basak?
Yes.
Mr. Butson?
Yes.
Mrs. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Lau?
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen?
Yes.
Ms. Sadowski?
Yes.
Ms. Young Yao?
Yes.
Ms. Urbaniak?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Basak. On to our safety and risk management, Mrs. Sadowski.
Thank you. I do have one addition since Monday night. Item 13.4, addition approved route number T359 to South River High School, Educational Services Commission of New Jersey for the 22-23 school year. And the Safety and Risk Management Committee did meet on April 4th to discuss various traffic issues throughout the district. Several solutions and resolutions were proposed and discussed, including potentially adding more bus routes, changing traffic patterns within our parking lots, and altering bell schedules. And we hope to implement some of these changes in the near future. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. School community relations, Ms. Young Yao.
I have the South River High School Student of the Month for March 2023. South River High School is proud to honor one student each month as the South River High School Student of the Month. This month is Diana Ileto. She has been chosen as the March Student of the Month due to her strong commitment to community service and leadership within the South River community.
Thank you. Our school board borough council liaison, Mr. Nielsen.
Nothing new to report from last Monday's meeting. Piggyback on some of the safety and risk management. We discussed that with South River Police Department and Councilwoman Mayor. So hopefully we'll be able to work together and resolve some of those issues. That's it.
Thank you. PTA liaison, Mrs. Sadowski.
Thank you. There's a couple things going on with the PTAs. As we all know, it's become the end of the year, so there's a lot of events that are being planned for, including teacher appreciation, fun days, first grade moving up ceremonies, and fifth grade fun night. The PTA is hosting a family gala night. That was on our agenda for tonight. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. South River Public Library liaison, Mr. Budzen.
The summer program is, planning is still underway. One of the plans is for the work of a therapy dog for kids to read beginning in the summer. And there's a lot of interest in a terrarium program Registration is open May 1st. Attendance is unlimited, but only 25 spaces are there to make to ring and take it home. We're also planning a retirement for one of their employees, Mrs. Lupa, has been there for ages. That's gonna happen in June. That's all I have.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we all know Luba. Okay, our South River Foundation for Educational Excellence, Ms. Lowe.
They did not reschedule the meeting, and I asked for a follow-up in terms of information, and they were not ready to share any information at this point in time. And I was told that when they're ready, I will know.
Okay? And when you know, we'll know.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any old or new business to come before the board at this time? And do we have anything from our attorney?
No, we will speak in executive session.
Correct. Payment of bills, Ms. Lau.
There we are. Okay, the Finance Committee recommends that all bills presented, having been certified by the school business administrator or the secretary, be paid as listed, and I so move.
We have a motion by Ms. Lau, is there a second by Mr. Nielsen? Any questions on the bill list? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, we are now going to open the meeting once again for the reception of visitors. And this is for any concern or comment that you have for the board. Please state your name and address, and please keep your comments to a 10-minute time limit on first call, second call, and on third call. At this time, this public portion is closed, and the board will be going into closed session. Resolved that pursuant to sections 7 and 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, the following subjects be discussed at a session of the Board of Education closed to the public. This is for attorney-client privilege, negotiations, and personnel. It is presently anticipated that the items to be discussed in closed can be disclosed to the public when resolved. Do we have a motion?
Nielsen?
Second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Nielsen, second by Mrs. Sadowski. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Bates.
Yes.
Mr. Budson.
Yes.
Mrs. Bush.
Yes.
Mrs. Lau.
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen.
Yes.
Ms. Sadowski.
Yes.
Ms. Young Yao.
Yes.
Mr. Bannick.
Yes.
We're closed.
Thank you. We are in closed.